And good Friday morning at the Inside Drive. Welcome to episode 76 of the Inside Drive podcast. We are sitting inside the Beach House Sales and Development Studios. Today we're joined by special guests Coach Jonah Hammond and Coach Floris van Es. Coach Hammond is a multiple state championship winning coach who led the 2023-24 Arnold Marlins boys soccer team to being the #1 team in the country, and now has transitioned to be the head coach for the Bay High Tornadoes, where I believe he played high school soccer. And then, of course, we've got Coach Van Es, who is a professional soccer coach from the Netherlands, and specifically with FC Groningen. Before we get started today, let's talk about some of our sponsors. Looking to buy along the Emerald Coast? Then you need
Looking
to
to buy,
Beach House
sell, or invest along Florida's Emerald Coast? This is Beth Mulvey, owner at Beach House Sales and Development. Our boutique brokerage specializes in waterfront homes, luxury properties, condos, investment opportunities, and new developments throughout Panama City Beach, 30A, Bay County, and Walton County. Whether you're a first-time homebuyer, a seasoned investor, or ready to sell your current property, Beach House provides concierge-level service every step of the way. Visit beachhousesalesfl.com for more information or give us a call at 850-919-3500 and let Beach House help you find your place on the coast.
And, of course, want to talk about the official juice of the Inside Drive podcast.
Looking for a healthier way to do your day? Then you've got to. Whether you're starting your morning, recovering just looking for a refreshing feast. They've got something for everyone.
Ginger ingredients help support your immune system to help support your fresh juices are a great alternative. Plus, they're committed to providing delicious options that make healthy living easy.
And if you're out around 3 Sundays,
Whether you're looking for a daily part of your routine, a refreshing drink, or a healthier lifestyle choice, make Juice and Sunsets part of your healthy never tasted so good.
And then, of course, our previous athletes of the week and future athletes of the week are brought to you by American Charlie Grill and Tavern.
Before it was the beach, Panama City Beach was another small town. And that's the spirit at American Charlie, your neighborhood tavern at the beach. Familiar faces, smiles and hellos from the employees, a menu that steps it up, and daily specials. Locals who gather at happy hour or to watch the game with family and friends and leave with a see you soon. American Charlie, a neighborhood tavern with plenty of parking, located by Rocket Lanes and Firefly, in the shops at Edgewater.
And then last but not least, before we get started with our interviews, got to talk about where I'm doing some teaching for golf now, and that's the Back 9 PCB.
Looking to improve your golf game, play world-famous courses, or just have some fun with friends? Head over to the Back 9 PCB with state-of-the-art full simulators, play, practice, compete year-round, rain or shine. Book a tee time starting at just $60 per hour, $60 per hour, or become a member and enjoy 24/7 access unlimited tee time, and exclusive perks. Whether you're a scratch golfer or just getting started, the Back 9 PCB is where golf never sleeps. Visit the Back 9 PCB today and elevate your game today.
All right. Appreciate all our sponsors here on the Inside Drive. We're going to start with Coach Jonah Hammond first. Coach, welcome to the show. I know we've done this many times before.
Thanks for having me.
And, of course, I appreciate you bringing out Coach Van Es as well. We're going to start with kind of your coaching journey. What made this the right time to come to Bay High?
Man, so many things. You know, I spent 10 years at Arnold, and going into my 10th year, I wasn't sure if I was going to come back in my 10th year. We just won 2 state championships. Very few teams had won 3 in a row. I had some players that I had coached for a long time since they were little, and so I decided to come back my 10th year and looking for a job. Couldn't get one at Arnold for whatever reason, and just decided to look other places. And I did a lot of praying about what my next move would be, and I think God opened up a lot of doors for me. I got a job at Bay High, and it was just one door after the next. It seemed to keep opening, and I felt like I was being kind of led
that way for sure.
Go back, so.
For sure. How much did playing at Bay High influence your decision to return?
I think it was part of the decision. There was many things that factored in, but playing there and, you know, having that desire to win a state championship there and never being able to do that, I think it would be very, very cool to be able to do that. So,
what's the biggest difference between Arnold and Bay High soccer cultures?
I think it's huge. I think Arnold is definitely a different culture with the type of students that they get at Arnold, and then Bay as well. And so, I could probably answer that question better after this first year and I get to meet the players and stuff. But from what I know, the players over at Bay, I think they're hungry to win and do something special. My last few years at Arnold, it seemed like everybody kind of expected it, and it wasn't appreciated. And so I'm kind of excited about that. I think the players over at Bay are hungry to kind of make a name for themselves. And so...
Well, and that's certainly understandable, too, because you guys won so much that once you get to that top of the mountain, everybody expects you to stay at the top of the mountain. Right. That's certainly not an easy thing to do. What's your vision for Bay High soccer for the next 3 years?
My vision for Bay High over the next 3 years is to win 3 state championships. And I know that's, a tall task, but every year, regardless of the players on my team, as a coach, I have the belief that we can win. We put in the time and effort on the field and in the classroom. We outwork everybody. And so our goal is to win state championships. I mean, that's kind of always been my goal at Arnold, and that's why we play the game.
Yep.
And so if I was to say anything less, I think I would be doing a disservice.
Yeah, selling them short a little bit. They got the players and the whole school's got to be excited for you to come over there, given obviously your track record of the success you've had in your previous coaching jobs. What traditions from Bay High's past do you hope to bring back?
When I played there, everybody took the game seriously. There was no joking around. But we're talking about a time where, you didn't have Facebook or YouTube or TikTok.
Distractions were much more at a minimum when we were growing up playing sports.
So, I was known as Jonah the soccer player. I wasn't known for my YouTube page or for my TikTok or whatever. And so, I lived, ate and breathed the sport. So I want to bring that back, that winning mentality, that hunger and passion to be the best. So,
what lessons did you learn at Arnold that will help you succeed at Bay?
Yeah, I learned many lessons. I have a saying, sometimes you win and sometimes you learn. And I learned a lot from games we didn't win. And, those are, even this past year, those are some things that I take with me. And now coming into this new role, I can step into this new role, start this, bring this culture and even do some things differently with the culture at Arnold that I can bring to Bay. And really, it's really neat kind of to go into my second job to put everything together and start out new, I guess.
Yeah, you kind of got all the pieces to the puzzle. It's just putting it all together and having everybody be a part of that puzzle for sure. Right. How has high school soccer changed since you were a player?
That's a good one. That's a great question. I think the game's different. The way coaches have more knowledge now than they did back then about the game. So it seemed like when I was growing up, there was very little tactics being taught. You went out there and just played. And now, that there's more avenues to research different play styles and stuff like that. I think that the coaches are getting smarter and the games, the levels being raised across the board, where sometimes you would see maybe one team or two teams that were good. Now there's a lot of teams that are good, and for many reasons having to do with the web and stuff.
There's kind of a lot more information and things that can help at your fingertips, so to speak.
For sure.
Kind of on the personal side of things, who was the coach that impacted you the most growing up?
I would say Coach Andy Warner from Tallahassee. He's been a mentor of mine. I played for him growing up. There wasn't really a soccer club, and this is kind of why I started surf. There wasn't a soccer club in this area that could help me get to the next level. And so I would leave Bay High. Me and a buddy would hop in the car. We'd drive 2 hours to Tallahassee to train, and we played with guys over there in Tallahassee. And so he was a mentor to me that really showed me the next level of the game. He was teaching tactics and fundamentals that I just was not getting over here. And so he now coaches at McClay. I think he's won 6 state championships.
Jeez.
He's been to
pretty
10
solid.
Of them, and so he's a guy that I look up to and appreciate all his help. And so
absolutely. If you weren't, or excuse me, what was your most memorable game as a Bay High soccer player?
Most memorable game as a Bay High soccer player? Well, I had a few, but I would say that's a tough one. It was a game where I scored 4 goals against a team that people thought we were going to lose. It was at Niceville, and Niceville was just as good back then as they are at sports now. And I was just on fire that night, and so I just felt like I could do whatever I wanted to, and the goal was, the size of, like 3 times the size, it is, and every shot would go in, and so that was something that I remember. But I'll tell you one thing, I remember high school games a lot more than I remember club games, and I think that's because of your friends that you go to school with, watching the game, and it just has a different level of excitement.
Well, that's what I try to tell a lot of kids nowadays, is that if you're playing high school sports, that could be the last time you're ever playing that sport with meaningful, interests and stuff like that. You don't realize you're in the good old days when you're in the good old days, which in my opinion is when you're playing high school sports. Obviously, people make it to the next levels too, but as you know, not everybody will do that. So enjoy anything you're doing in high school sports, because you don't know when you're going to have that opportunity again, if ever.
Right, and to add to that, I mean, we've had some Arnold games where the entire stadium is filled.
Yep.
And so I don't know how that stadium holds, but when you go to a club game, you just have your parents on the sideline.
Yeah.
So a night game, when the playoffs, you're playing for your, playoff lives, I guess, right, to move on to the state championship or the Final Four, and the whole town is supporting you. So, when we won that state championship, I don't know if you saw the videos from Dave and Buster's of the 2 rooms they had packed when we were down there, people celebrating. It was just, you don't get that in club. So
we had several watch parties with one of my friends, and we really enjoyed. I mean, everybody was pulling for the same goal, and I can remember some of those memories more than anything. And I don't really have anything quote unquote to do with the Arnold boys soccer program either. So, if you weren't coaching soccer, what would you be doing?
Playing it. I mean, I love the game so much. Obviously, my time has passed, and I don't know. I never really thought I was going to be a coach.
It's funny how that works out.
Yeah, I had a dream to play professionally, and when I found out figured out that was not going to be an option, I'll tell you, I was lost for a while. I didn't know what I wanted to do, because my life had been surrounded by the game. Yep. And it never crossed my mind to coach, and I just kind of fell into it. I helped start Gulf South Soccer Club out on 38. Was living out there and just fell in love with coaching and fell back in love with the game. I was mad at soccer for a while because, I don't know, I just went through all these emotions when my whole life had been working towards a goal, and I didn't feel like I had achieved that goal. So
yeah, probably not that uncommon of a tale when it comes to how you became a coach. Usually you were a player, and then that player thing kind of ended, and then you kind of fall into that coaching and realize coaching is just as fulfilling as being a player out there. All right, pivoting to some World Cup conversation. What makes the World Cup different from every other sporting event?
Sweet. What makes it different than every other sporting event? Well, it's the biggest in the world. Number one, the World Cup has been known to stop wars. And the entire globe is tuned into the game. And so even countries that maybe don't have a team in the World Cup, it's bigger than the Olympics. It's just, let's take the goalkeeper from Cape Verde, who had the amazing game against Spain. He went from 50,000 followers, I think he's up to 8 million.
He's more than some serious celebrities and some big-time sports teams.
So, I mean, the World Cup can change people's lives. And so
I was talking to some people. It just feels like everything that's going on in the world right now, we really needed the World Cup right now, especially with all the the stories with the international people coming over and discovering what America's all about, and then realizing the people that live in the United States of America need to realize how good they've got it. I think we take it for granted quite a bit. Which country consistently overachieves on the world stage?
Which country consistently overachieves on the world stage? So, what would be your definition of overachieve? Because you could look at, overachieve can be looked at as like a negative, right? Like they do better than they should. I would say, to kind of eventually segue to Floris here, I would say when you look at the population of the Netherlands and what they're able to do with so few players, it's amazing to see how they stack up against some of the bigger countries.
It's so funny you should say that, because one of my questions for Floris is that exact point.
Right. So I would say that, but they have a system in place. So it's not like they're overachieving because of luck. They have a plan in place, whereas here in the U.S. we have no plan and we have no style, we have no identity, and they do. And so I don't know that I would use the word overachieve. And again, maybe I'm thinking about that word wrong, but it's amazing to see a country like that do what they're able to do against countries like the United States. Like, I think when you could change that word to underachieve. I don't know if you have that question.
Yeah.
The U.S. is probably the easiest answer for underachievers. So
Historically underachieving, unfortunately, in the World Cup.
Yeah.
What current player is must-watch TV?
Messi.
Yeah.
I mean, Messi and Ronaldo, you could go back and forth. Ronaldo needs to score a couple other goals, but I would say Messi for sure is must-watch. I mean, just because of what he's doing at that age, everybody's got to tune into his game.
Yep.
So,
It's pretty crazy stuff, that's for sure.
so, but I think there's others too. I mean, look at what Mbappe and Haaland are doing. I think
The whole Holland Snapchat thing has been pretty funny.
I haven't got to see that. Again, I'm not on it very much on social media, but I mean, even like I think a player has made much noise because of he's been injured and he's slowly getting back into it. But one guy to watch always is Lamine Yamal. I mean, with his age and what he's able to do,
It's just crazy for sure.
That's crazy.
For sure. What's the biggest misconception American fans have about international soccer?
That it's an easy sport. They think they can get out there and play the game, that it's, I hear a lot of people make comments about soccer and they just have no idea, that it doesn't take talent. And then you get out there and watch somebody that's never played soccer try to kick a soccer ball and see how goofy they look. I think the biggest misconception is it's a talentless sport. I think if you can play soccer, you can play any sport.
Agreed. Absolutely. Yeah, it's kind of funny, like somebody who you take being able to kick a ball for granted, but then when people have to step a certain way to kick the ball in a good, strong strike, it's not as easy as it looks for sure. And that's where, good teams make it certainly look really, really easy.
Right.
Who is your favorite World Cup player of all time?
For me, growing up, it was R9, which is the real Ronaldo, is what I like to say. He was a Brazilian striker, and just the things he would do on the ball, running full speed at people. I don't think you see that kind of creativity anymore.
Skill, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, name one player that does maybe half of what he does, right? The game's changed, and you don't see that kind of flair. So R9, and I would say, currently you'd be Messi, for sure.
Which World Cup upset shocked you the most?
I would say shocked me the most.
And it doesn't have to be a loss. It could be a tie for sure. Because we had a lot of those so far.
Yeah. Go back to the Cape Verde game against Spain.
Yep.
I mean, I think if you were betting on that game, you took Spain easily.
Yeah, Spain was probably like minus 850 in that game.
Oh my gosh. So that was the first biggest shock, but I think there's been a lot of shocks. I think
it's been a very entertaining World Cup thus far.
When, talking about tactics and, coaches deploying the low block and mid block and being able to maybe cause some problems to teams that are going to keep more possession of the ball. I think you've seen some teams get some ties that maybe shouldn't have. So I think Cape Verde with their tie against Spain, and then they went on to tie Uruguay. I mean, I think that's the team that's been most shocking.
Absolutely, totally agree there. What country do you believe has the best soccer culture in the world?
I mean, I haven't been to every country, but I would say Brazil. I've been there. I've experienced it. I know the passion and love they have for the game is like none other I've ever seen. Boys, girls, men, women on the beach playing soccer. Like, you look down the beach and there's just, you see people juggling soccer balls. At night, I played a little pickup game, and off to the side, it was like 10 o'clock at night, you had kids that were 9, 10 years old playing on what would be a basketball court. They were playing futsal with a flat, torn up ball, arguing like it was the World Cup. I'm like, these guys should be in bed, you know? And so when you see that, and even though Brazil is not really what they've been in the past, but that soccer culture, that passion, that love for the game.
Just you live and breathe soccer
it's
in
like
Brazil.
nothing you've seen.
All right. Final question for you. How has the United States improved compared to previous generations?
Oh, they look like they have an identity, a game plan. They're not scared to try and possess the ball and beat opponents. And so it looks like Coach Pochettino has really got the team playing together, and looks like they have a little fight in them. And so I think they have the quality of players. I mean, one question you could ask is, where are those players, where do they develop? And a majority of them, it was not in the United States. So that says something about our developed players here. But I just think that you have some young, hungry players. It helps for the game of the World Cup to be here in the United States. And they look like, in the past, I think when they would have played better teams, they would have set in a block, they would have tried to defend and tried to maybe score off a counter, and I don't see that now. I see a team that's not afraid to possess with the best of the teams, and so
more trying not to lose versus trying to win.
Correct. I think if they can get past these next two games, which from the way I see it, it could be like a Bosnia, well, for sure Bosnia next, but then like a Egypt, and if they get past that, it's probably Spain. So that's what I want to see, is if they could play a Spain.
How do they stack up to one of those teams?
With a team that's probably best in possession, how does that change their game, or do they still have that same mindset that, hey, we can play with these guys? And so I'd be curious to see how it all unfolds.
Absolutely. We're going to hear from Panhandle Credit really quick, and then we'll get with Coach Floris van Es.
People are who build community. The self-starters, the friendly neighbors, the ambitious workers. And that's exactly who our members are. We're PCU. And with us, banking is made better. So whether you need a rewards checking account, financial products that assist with travel, easy business loans, or affordable auto loans, come see us so we can build the community together. Panhandle Credit Union. Banking made better.
Like online, other than like juggling.
All right, we are back. We're going to dive in with Floris van Es. Floris, if you would first tell us about yourself. What do you do and where are you from?
Yes, my name is Floris. I'm 29 years old and I'm working at FC Groningen, which is a club in the Netherlands. I'm working there now for 5 years, so that's a little bit about me.
What got you into soccer?
Well, obviously starting soccer as a young kid. And then when I became an under 15 player, I guess, I started doing some coaching for the under 7 kids. And then I realized I really liked that and I wanted to become a coach or do some work in sports.
What makes Dutch soccer development so successful?
Well, I think it's about, obviously it's the biggest sports in the Netherlands. So I just looked up, there are like 3,000 clubs in the Netherlands. And on the highest level there are 18, but it's also, it's played by everyone. So there are 1.2 million out of the, I guess, 70 million people who are playing soccer in the Netherlands. So that's helpful. If you started early, you'll become good at it as well. And I think in the structure, we've got like local clubs. It's like really accessible for everyone to play.
Gotcha.
I guess you pay 180 euros a year to play soccer. And everyone can find a club within a 5 till 10 minute drive, maybe even walk. So it's really accessible sport for everyone to do. Yeah, and that's, I guess, the biggest foundation to build upon.
Like we talked about earlier, why does the Netherlands consistently produce world-class players despite its size?
Yeah, well, obviously because it's a big sport in the Netherlands, but also I think the coaches are really focused on developing individual players, and obviously you want to win matches. It would be nice if you will be the champion at the end of the season, but I don't feel like that's the main importance within the Netherlands soccer system. It's all about individual development, And if you will reach the like senior level, if you become an adult, then it's about winning. And all those years in the younger age groups, it's all about developing those kids to eventually perform. And if you would twist that and you would say you need to perform at 8 or at 9 or at 10 or whatever, then coaches would also make like different choices.
I've talked about that with Coach Jonah quite a bit. Is United States soccer seems to be more about money and not so much development, going to tournaments and winning tournaments, all that good stuff. But like you just kind of said, the Netherlands and a lot of other European countries focus on development more so than just going out there and playing tournaments and winning matches.
But I think there's a reason also, there's a incentive for you guys to develop players as well, because if you can sell a player, right, as he gets older, their club makes, we talked about it last night, you just sold a player for what, 17 million or something?
Yeah, so one player we bought from a Norwegian club, we sold him for 11 million.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you recruit local players, that's what we are focused on at our club. And we develop them from under 12 till under 21. They will get a few years at our club and then maybe go to a bigger side. Luciano Valente is the biggest example. He just didn't make the World Cup roster, so that's a pity for him and also for us, I guess. But yeah, that's how we work in the Netherlands.
Pardon my ignorance, what does it mean to sell a player?
Well, I'll let Floris speak on that because he probably knows a little bit more about how they would develop young talent and then sell that player to another market and how it works. And I think it's been talked about a little bit in the U.S. about Pulisic and his contract, about his club here in Pennsylvania. They get a percentage of that money every time he gets the contract, and so Floris could probably speak a little bit better.
Yeah,
he probably has a little bit better understanding about that.
So when you obviously get like 100% of the transfer or whatever.
Gotcha.
But there's also like this sell-on clause with what happens with players. So the center back of the Netherlands team, Jean-Paul van Hekken, he just made a transfer to Tottenham Hotspur. And his local club in the Netherlands receives money out of that transfer. So that will help that amateur club also grow, invest in an environment for their players to eventually develop the next Jean-Paul van Hekken as well, I guess.
Gotcha. I'm trying to compare it to something that I understand, but I think I got it now.
Yeah, I don't know. You don't see it as much here in the States, and I think, I don't know what you could compare it to. I think a lot of times here in the States in sports, and this might be getting a little off topic, but if you lose, you get like the first pick in the first round, and it's, you know.
The worse you are, the better picks you get
right.
in
And
drafts.
So over there, you lose and you get relegated to the second division. And so I think the way their structure is set up over there for developing players, there's an incentive to do that. There's an incentive to win, and every game matters. You know, it's just a different culture, though. I wish they would. Here in United States, so over there they put players, and they know if they develop players and they do the right thing for the players, eventually they'll be paid for that, right?
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Over here, we put money before we put the development of players.
Yeah, and it almost, and this may not be the way to it. It's almost like here we focus on paying the player. Over there, maybe it's more about paying the club for the development that they did for the player.
Yeah, I guess that's
fair
like
to say.
So obviously, the soccer club started with the first men's team, and then if you want to select those players to be in your team, you need to recruit them for all other clubs, and that's where clubs started to think about, okay, we need to build an academy for younger kids, and then we can recruit them towards their own side. So that's what we see both with our men and women team, that a lot of the players are recruited from our academy, which is also cheaper than buying players and put them in with big contracts in your club.
And another thing I think to touch on is, you know, you look at, example, Ajax, right, from the Netherlands, when they played in the Champions League a few years ago, it was like half of their players came from their home club, right? They developed them. And so
you have that pipeline that you've created to push through to your top levels of soccer on the men's and women's side. All right, Floris, how are young players trained differently in Europe compared to the United States?
Well, I think in our sessions, it's all about like the individual skill level. So players, the first 50 training sessions should be with a lot of touches on the ball, because that's where I believe like players develop themselves the best. Not about tactics too much, but like more on the technique. And especially in the younger age groups, that's the main focus. So like passing, receiving, dribbling, cutting back, be the master of the ball. And then when you are getting into older age groups, it's about more like reading the game, making the right decisions, but you should be able to do that with your
You've already
equipment,
developed
right?
the fundamental skills
Yes,
to be able
yes.
to be successful in that more tactical side of
Yes.
soccer.
Yeah, so they work on the basics, and I think that's why they're as good as they are. I think you could compare that to the NBA when you see a lot of the Europeans coming over now.
Yeah.
They focus on the fundamentals, and they've mastered the fundamentals, and that's why they are having success in the NBA. And I think it's the same over there in Europe. They master the fundamentals, whereas for us here, we're putting winning over development. Parents want to win. If not, they're going to leave the club. So then the club's
so right.
the club's stuck in a situation. Well, do we try and win so we don't lose? Because the club has to have money to survive and support the system and pay for the fields, where a lot of that is probably paid for over in Europe. And so it's this, again, it always comes to money first, and and when it's set up like that, you're always going to struggle when it comes to the development of players and success of your players and country as a whole. So.
And unfortunately, that's not just soccer here in the U.S. That's baseball, that's football. You just see if my kid's not playing and doing, I'm going to take my ball and go somewhere else. And now we're creating this cycle of just, I don't know what to even call that, but I feel like we're creating this cycle where if I don't like where I'm at, I can just pick up and move. And then, of course, that goes all the way up to the high school level here in Florida as well, with the school of choice kind of stuff. Kind of piggybacking on what we were just talking about, what skills do Dutch coaches emphasize first?
I think it was Johan Cruyff who mentioned, like, if you're only able to do all the kinds of skills, you can enjoy the circus. So there should be direction into the drills. So we are doing this camp now at the public sports park, and you can see in all our drills, maybe it starts a little bit with ball mastery, because you need like a pre-activation or set up the players, warm up, but then we directly want to set our drills towards goal, because they should focus on playing forward, get a direction into it. And if players learn that and are taught that with different kinds of situations, they will be able to make the best decisions in different kinds of match scenarios as well.
Yeah. I mean, again, just kind of like any sport, the more touches, the more reps, the more it just becomes you're playing whatever that sport is in the subconscious, rather than actively thinking about what you got to do. And that's where the development thing comes in. I'm pretty sure I know this answer already. What are American youth players missing compared to European youth players?
Well, I think what I noticed is that during the camps, but a couple of years ago I was here as well to be as a coach at the camps more on the East Coast. I feel like players are struggling with decision making. So I don't know why. Maybe because they are told what to do, or like are finding it hard to make the decision based on their vision. But I feel like that's the biggest thing. I don't want to control them like I'm on the PlayStation or whatever. So I want them to see and look for the opportunity themselves. Otherwise, they won't learn it.
Yeah. Well, I think too, we have that culture of everything's supposed to be perfect. We're supposed to do it perfect, and that creates unreasonable pressure on younger players. And if they don't do it perfect, it's the fear that they're going to get reprimanded, yelled at, whatever it may be. And obviously every coach is certainly different, but I've done a lot with youth sports, and I feel like that's one of the things that the kids, they put so much pressure on themselves to be perfect, and if they're not perfect, then we get that head down mentality and all that stuff. So I could certainly see that being a big difference.
We did a drill yesterday where it was like a game where it was 2v2 transition, but the game started with a 2v0, and there were two players, obviously, one with ball, one without, and they were going towards the goalie, and he passes it to the player next to him. And I'm like, why are you doing that? You're not getting pressure. you can just dribble towards the goal and shoot it
spacing,
yourself. So, but they pass it. I don't understand why. So that's also like maybe afraid to make the decision or to be like the master of the ball.
Wrong decision.
Yeah.
Well, I think that comes from two things. One, it could be the coach you have. You know, you make a mistake, he's yelling at you, or what drives me just crazy, and you see it a lot, probably in baseball and other sports, is the parents coaching from the sideline.
Yeah.
And that pressure to perform in front of your parents. You know, you have the coach that's instructing you, telling you one thing, a parent's yelling, telling you another thing, and the kid is, I got to go home with dad. This is what my coach is saying. It causes confusion. And so that's why in our club, it's like, hey, parents, you cheer and nothing else. And if we have parents that are trying to coach from the sidelines, we'll have conversations with them, because imagine trying to do your job and somebody's yelling at you, you know, and trying to give you instructions when they haven't been in training and they don't know what the coach has told them. So a lot of confusion there. The last thing I'll say real quick about being perfect is we tell our kids that it's hard to be perfect. You're not going to go through a soccer game. There's no such thing
as perfect.
I think soccer is, you know, it's a game of mistakes, and usually who makes the least amount of mistakes wins the game. And so how many times can you touch perfection? Right? You're going to make mistakes, but how many times can you touch perfection? So I'll ask a kid, can you make a perfect pass? Well, yeah, coach, I can make a perfect pass. Well, can you make a perfect shot? Yeah, I can make a perfect shot. So how many times can we strive to have a perfect pass, have a perfect shot, knowing it's not always going to happen, but we're trying to stack up those perfect moments, and over the course of a game, hopefully that allows us to be successful as a team.
Well, obviously, you know, I was in the golf business my entire life, coached a lot of golf, ran a lot of tournaments, especially a lot of junior tournaments, and parent involvement in golf seems, in my opinion, is the worst, because you're not out there. Like, of course the kid's trying to hit a good shot. Of course the kid's trying to hit the green. Did he mean to miss the green? Did he mean to leave it to the bunker? No. Just, there's a lot of tournaments where they don't even allow parents to spectate, or they have to at least stay outside, like on the cart path or beyond. So I understand how the parent involvement can be a lot of extra pressure on the kids, really for no reason. And I know the parents just want their kid to do the best they can, but you got to be realistic as well.
Yeah. So I took my coaching license. So coaching license in America, that's a whole nother topic for another day, but the highest you can get is A, and I'm at a B. And so I did that at Atlanta United, its facility, and we got to train the Atlanta United youth players. The parents, and maybe you could talk to this about your club, they weren't allowed it around the training facility. They had to stay outside.
Yep.
And so
you're seeing that more and more.
Yeah, it's, you know, but again, parents, for whatever reason, think when it's game time that they can give their kid that information when they haven't been in training.
Yep.
They don't know, like, I've sat in a low block and mid block, and maybe some of your listeners will know what that is. And I have parents yelling at their kids to step up and press, but they don't know what we're doing, you know.
You don't know what your strategy is at that
and so
moment.
now it's just causes confusion.
Yeah, the kid's like, what do I press up, or do I do what my coach said?
Right.
Yeah,
right.
just don't put your kid in that position.
Yeah, and that's also because, like, I like to see the World Cup, obviously, but the World Cup games is played by players who are professional on the highest level, who played all over the years. Don't think that you're under 10 kid
it's going to be like
that. It's going to be playing as an inverted back, and then maybe as a...
Yeah,
it's like they're not able to pass it.
Their minds aren't even developed yet. It's like 25, 26 when your mind's fully developed. So anything younger than that, you got to understand the situation. It's a great point as well.
And also on the other end, you know, the parents are there. They are involved. So we call it like the development triangle. So you've got the player, you've got the club, and the parents, and they all need to work together. So I think it's about how you influence the parents of telling them how your vision is at the club. When they join your club, is introduce them, this is how we work, this is like some sort of our philosophy or rules. Let them be involved, but on a certain way, and maybe also like give them instructions on, okay, you're in the ride back home, you drive them home, don't ask them what was the score, but ask them how was your game. And ask questions rather than tell them what how they did.
Exactly, that's a great point. I have sometimes struggled with that myself as well in the multiple sports that my kids play, and sometimes I just gotta shut up and take a step back. I'm getting better at that, though, I believe, as time goes on. Kind of some specific stuff to FC Groningen. What is your role with FC Groningen?
So,
hopefully I'm pronouncing that.
yeah, you're good. Yeah, we've got the harder G, so that makes it like this Groningen. So that's hard to pronounce.
That with my next question.
Yeah,
but we'll see.
So yeah, my role is that we've got like obviously we've got an academy, but we also have a foundation, which is like a division within our club, which is responsible to organize all kinds of like physical activity programs, soccer programs, lifestyle programs, where within our region, and we see it like in a 45-minute drive, where we want to encourage people to get the best out of themselves physically wise. So encourage them to sleep well, do physical activity. So we've got lifestyle programs, we've got soccer programs for kids. All those kids play at the local club. And we also are responsible for our pre-academy programs, where boys from under 8 to 11 are in our program and at their local club, and they might join our under 12 team for the boys. And for the girls, we've got an under 11 till under 14, and they might join our under 17. So we are basically responsible for physical activity programs for all kids in our region. And I'm the coordinator of that, and I'm working together with all my colleagues to, facilitate this, I guess.
Gotcha. So you're kind of like the CEO of all the different things you got going on.
Yeah, we've got this also for adults. So I've got a colleague who is coordinator for adult programs as well, and a friend of mine is the CEO of our foundation. He was here last year, but he couldn't make it this year.
Gotcha. I'm going to give it a shot here. What makes FC Groningen unique within Dutch football? That was terrible.
No, yeah.
I tried. It's not good.
Yeah, it's okay. Unique, I would say, is that we are known for like recruiting players from our region and not start too early, because we want players to play at their local club a little bit longer. So Ajax, PSV, Feyenoord, they start with the under 8 pro team. We start at the under 12. We believe it's really good when they're in kindergarten. They're with their friends, they go to parties on Wednesday and don't go to like training session all the time. Yeah. We do have a pre-academy program, but they join us a little bit later. And those kids join our program until the under 21, and we deliver all the years players towards the first team and now make transfers or play at our first team. And that's where we are proud of. So obviously, Arjen Robben is like the biggest example in that, who is now a coach at our club, which is really cool for the kids, obviously. Yeah, and then our playing style is like, we are not like always in the top of the league, but I still believe we play how we want to play. So like dominant, we build up from the back. We want to give high pressure towards the opponent. It might not always be like the smartest decision to do, but I don't see our first teams play in low block and wait and only go for counter attacks.
Yeah.
So that I really like that playing style.
What traits are professional clubs looking for in young players today?
Well, we always say like there are 3 components. So we've got like our vision is focused on like how you perform as a soccer player, how you perform as an athlete, and how you perform like as a professional. Within the soccer part, the main thing is how good you are with the ball at young age. As an athlete, we want to see how your motor skills are, if you're quick, because you see like the high intensity runs, the total distance run by a player is like grew a lot. You don't see like the classic number 10 who was like staying in the middle, give assist. I think those players are not there anymore, so you need to be able to make that. And on the professional wise is like learning ability and never giving up. So get the best out of yourself. Those are like the biggest traits, I guess, we look into when we recruit players.
All right, one more quick question before we ask you about some World Cup questions. How important is soccer IQ compared to athletic ability?
I think you need both to make like the top. And sometimes you see players who are like athletic and they can be part in good games, but they won't be able to perform on the highest level. And players really good at skill but don't have like the physical ability to perform. I think like the right back of the Dutch national team, Dumfries, he started playing later than other players in our national team. I don't think he's like soccer-wise the most skilled player, but his physical is like that good that he can perform on the highest level, and there are now rumors he might join Real Madrid, so that will be interesting.
I think that for Americans, we have the athletic ability, but we lack the soccer IQ. And I think Floris touched on that a little bit ago when it comes to the decision making. So I agree that both are needed. And one thing that stuck out that he said is motor skills. I hear that a lot when I ask them about players at camps and stuff, and they'll look at a young player and they can tell you based on their motor skills if they're going to be able to play at the highest level when they get older.
Just simply based on some cues that you get from just what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
Obviously, you have to have that good hand-eye and coordination and all that stuff. Because I don't know if you can teach that. Maybe you can, but you either have to have that or not. And if you don't have it, it's going to be obviously a lot tougher for you.
And the best thing to do or to develop this is do all kinds of sports. So don't focus too early on only playing soccer, thinking that will help you making the top. Zlatan, who is now like the presenter during the Fox Sports, he was like really good in taekwondo, and you see his goals when you rewatch his goals, his flexibility, that will help him becoming the player he was. You see it with Haaland as well. I think if you do all kinds of sport activity, makes yourself a better athlete, will eventually make you a better soccer player on a later stage.
When I think, go ahead.
The Dutch have something that I've looked into that I wish they would bring here to the United States is the athletic skills model, or it's like where it's you see these playgrounds that have all different kinds of so it's very interesting, the athletic skills model they have there.
Yeah. And we've got our sessions for the soccer camp for this summer, and we've got those motor skills sessions also in our program, but we were like, are we going to do this here? How those kids and parents are going to react if we are going to play handball during a soccer session? They were like, I paid for a soccer session, right? But this is how we develop our players. So we do motor skill sessions. They play on different playgrounds. So our under 12 till under 14 got judo on Mondays, or go to the futsal like indoor, and that will help them as players as well.
He said judo. I know it sounded like judo.
Actually, surprisingly, I picked up on that.
What's that?
Judo, and that's something
I like judo better.
Yeah, that's something that we actually tried for a little bit over at our club, and there were other clubs, were making fun of us like, oh, they're teaching karate now, but we had the judo coach come in to teach them how to fall properly, because you see the kids putting their arm down and breaking their arm, and so it's what is the Tua Tagovailoa? He took judo classes. You see a bunch of professional athletes taking judo classes, like dance classes, to help with their footwork and coordination. Yeah. So I agree, multiple sports are necessary.
You see that sports do have more in common, that they differ from each other. Yeah. So only some sports are like played with less players or more players, with hands or with feet, but some sports do like each other.
Yeah.
I hate to keep bringing golf back into this, but the only sport, in my opinion, that you should specialize in if you're good enough at it is golf, because that requires so many reps, so many chips, so many putts, all that stuff, and you're going to be behind if you're not but you also could get burned out real quickly as well. So
it's a 10,000 hour rule, right? And I think that also holds for musical instruments, where you have to repeat.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, repeating in the other sports is good too, but motor skills is so important, like you were just saying. All right, a couple quick World Cup questions. Why has the Netherlands been so successful in World Cup history despite never winning it?
Well, I think the Dutch are known for their playing style, so that's why the biggest coaches on the world talk about them. Like Guardiola is inspired by our playing style. There's this footage of the World Cup in the 70s where we press with 10 players. Everybody. And we're like, how does that work? If you could analyze that beforehand, I think a coach right now would outplay that. But I think be bold to make decisions and play different than other countries. Yeah, obviously develop world-class players. Well, in '88 we won the European Championship. Yeah, and if you see the team who were playing there, like Van Basten, Gullit, etc. Yeah.
So what's the furthest the Netherlands have gone in the World Cup? Is it semifinals?
So I've got still wet eyes when I think about the World Cup 2010, we lost the final against Spain.
Yeah.
I remember
And
watching that.
I think we could have won that game. And the players who were in that team, and Robin was in the team, and he missed an opportunity against Iker Casillas, who saved, I guess it was twice with his toe. But that's a thing where, we feel bad about. And that should have been our year, I guess.
Yeah.
In your opinion, which nation is best positioned to win the next World Cup?
France.
Yeah.
And that's because the game is a lot about tactics, but if you can manage those players and get the best out of themselves, the players are like crazy good.
Yeah, France.
So
seems like
I
all
think
team.
like Ancelotti from Brazil is like a coach who is like really good at not focusing on the tactics, but like how a player feels and if he's allowed to make his own decisions. And I feel like that's also really important. And if the France coach succeeds in that, then I think they will win.
Gotcha. Speaking of tactics, what tactical trends are dominating international soccer right now?
Yeah, I watch games. I rather watch players than tactics, but there are like different kinds of tactics. You see, we a little bit changed with the Netherlands now with Robbie as a striker and players under him playing. So yesterday the goal from Japan was the same, where they played to Ueda, Ritsudo and played through. So I think that's a really important thing. You see that the players, so I watched the game of the Netherlands yesterday, and Virgil van Dijk and Van Hekken, the two center backs, had the most possession. And I was like, how does that happen? But that's mostly because of the teams who are playing a lower block. They don't get the advantage of always pressure, because you will give away a lot of space in behind. So they know a lower block will also help them.
Yeah. I think the back, like maybe starting with a back four or even a back five, but in the attack moving to a back three and trying to overload the middle is kind of what I see, with maybe bringing your winger in and having your wing back step up. And so trying to put four in the middle, and you see a lot of teams moving to that 3-2-5, some sort of formation like that when attacking.
Yeah.
And so you see that a lot. I think the last thing would be the tactical trends dominating is you see a lot of people playing in the mid block and low block. A lot of teams that are doing that and just trying to make it difficult for teams to score, maybe scoring on the counter.
Yeah.
So
I think that's why Cable Verde also get a result against Spain.
Yeah.
If they high pressured against
They
them,
would have got picked apart.
No.
Just Spain, the talent Spain had versus them
Yeah.
would have shined more if they played that style. Which young players should fans learn about before they become stars? And not obviously necessarily just from the Netherlands.
Pooh. Well, he's not young anymore. I guess he's 25 now. He's playing for PSV, and he's having a very good World Cup now at Saibari. He's playing for Morocco. They will play the Netherlands next week, so we will have a tough game, I guess. I believe he will make a transfer after this World Cup. He's now playing at PSV, but he's a really good player. He's really skilled. He can play as midfielder. He's playing as striker now, so I really like him as a player.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think Nico Paz for Argentina. He's a very talented player, and one that even Messi says you want to watch out for. You probably won't hear much about him this World Cup, but I think in the future you might hear a little bit more about him.
Last question for just you, and then we'll play a quick Golf Plus ad, and then I got questions for both y'all, kind of a little debate segment. How has the gap between Europe and the rest of the world narrowed, if in your opinion you think it has?
Yeah, so I think there's like a difference between like countries like USA and Canada and Europe, or like Brazil, Argentina, Ecuador, who are like also dominating the World Cup over like the last decades. And I believe like Argentina, Brazil have like a really good structure about developed players as well. I feel like the countries like Canada or the USA are recognizing soccer more as a sport now, and a lot of kids are now playing it. So I think it will eventually happen that USA or like the MLS will grow with American players on a high level, or that the US might win a World Cup if they keep on developing players. And as you mentioned, Jonah, now it's with players who are going to a foreign country on early stage, but You rather have them in your system in academies here. But then I feel like there might need a shift in like how is like the college or high school system versus the pro academy players, because I can imagine that you rather play at high school than at the pro club academy, because the attention, the opportunity to combine it with good studies. So
kind of the theme that I'm getting from this whole conversation is development is more important than just constantly playing. And obviously, as you progress through your different levels of soccer, the focus is still always going to be development.
Mm-hmm.
All right, real quick, let's hear from our good friends over there at Golf Plus.
Not yesterday, but the day.
All right, if you're looking to get any fittings done or looking for a new set of clubs, like the commercial said, there is only one place to go, and that is Golf Plus. We're going to do a little bit of debate questions for both Coach Jonah and Coach Floris. We're going to start with which country currently plays the most entertaining soccer, and then whoever wants to go, we'll just go back and forth.
I'll let you go first on this one.
Well, most entertaining for me would be like dominant in possession or good in individual skills. So I like to see France or Spain. So one of those.
Yeah, I think for me it would be probably Spain when they're at full force. Just the way they dominate possession and interchange in positions, and they have grown up playing that style. And most of those guys probably grew up playing together on the youth national team. So they just know where each other are. So I would say Spain, and I really have to say, maybe, I don't know, maybe it's a question later, but I like watching Japan.
Yeah, they are certainly a fun squad to watch. Who wins a World Cup first, the United States or the Netherlands?
I would say the Netherlands. I'd say the U.S. has a long.
Just a little bit further to go?
I wouldn't say more than a little bit. I mean, I don't know, unless we change the way we develop players.
Yep.
I don't think we'll win one in my lifetime.
Yeah, I would go for the Netherlands, but I think with current squad, I think we can go far into the tournament. The only thing is I'm not sure if we are good enough with our front three players. So.
Anybody in the mix waiting to come up and get their opportunity?
Yeah, that's what I thought, but I'm not sure. I think Somerville is a player who's getting a lot of interest after the World Cup, I guess, from clubs. He might play or not, and I like him as a player. He's fast, he's agile, he's skilled, so.
Gotcha.
To say something about that, and maybe this is even going back to the question I said about Japan, and I think the U.S. needs to kind of follow what Japan did. They came out and said we have a 100-year plan to win the World Cup. So a lot of times in the United States, we want to win now, and we're not patient. And so
we're not a patient culture.
No. And so Japan is, and so they came up with a 100-year plan. They have a style of play. They have a coach that's been there forever, and we don't have that, right? Style changes with each coach, and we're kind of lost in the development system and the way the college is set up, and it's just we're a mess right now. Until we get that figured out and everybody get on the same page, it's going to be a long journey.
Long road to hoe.
Yeah.
I might let you guys do this together. If somebody asked me this question, I would have no chance of doing this. Put your dream World Cup starting 11 using current players.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no
goalie. Courtois, I guess.
Courtois, yeah. I would have him in goal. I would say left back for me is Cucurella. I like him. If you go Van Dijk, center back.
Yeah, Van Dijk should be center back.
Who would be your second center back?
France.
Yeah. Well, I think we're going to have more French players. Maybe we throw in USA player. Oh, man, I would have told you just a minute ago, but
there are none USA players in this side.
There's one. I know there's none. Like, he's right. There's no USA players in the side. Pulisic doesn't even make the side. So, yes, we'll go with the French player.
Okay. Who is on the right back?
I like this exercise.
Yeah. I don't know.
Kimi from Germany.
You like him from Germany?
Yeah.
Even though he's old and getting slow?
Yeah. He's still good.
Yeah, okay.
Three midfielders? We're going for a 4-3-3, right?
Well, yeah, we just keep it a 4-3-3.
Yeah, keep it simple.
Yeah, it's so hard. There's so many talented players.
We forgot about one.
Yeah,
we're gonna do that after this podcast, and we're gonna make the 11. But I mean, I think we'll come back to the midfield. I think you will put do you play Messi as a false nine because you have to have him in there, right? And so I would like to see my top three would be probably Mbappe, Messi, and Lamine Yamal would be
That's
my
a
top
scary three right there.
Yeah, I think Haaland should be in there as well.
Yeah. So
Maybe Harry Kane, but Harry Kane is not playing too good. But he's good, having a good season at Bayern Munich.
You're right. Haaland is, but who do you take out? You take Lamine out because he's been injured?
Yeah.
Just based on performance? So then you would put Mbappe.
We had somebody, I believe this is a player, Hakimi?
Yeah, as a right back. That would be good.
And then Vitinha?
Vitinha, yes.
Vitinha
Good
from
midfielder.
PSG, that's a good one.
Fernandes also might be in there.
Yeah, Bruno Fernandes would be a good one, but they're both from Portugal. So Mbappe on the left, Haaland up top, Messi on the right. We have Hakimi as right back. The two center backs are
Van Dijk and Upamecano.
Yeah, and then Cucurella left back. So then Vitinha in the midfield, and then we have two more. Maybe what's his name?
Let's put Sabari in there.
Ulisse?
Oh, we forgot about him.
Yeah, you gotta have him.
Yeah, he will be our 10.
He'll be our 10.
And we need one midfielder.
Maybe more defensive minded.
Rice?
He's old, but I mean, if you got Messi on the field, you gotta have his bodyguard, right?
Yeah, no, I would for Declan Rice.
Declan Rice. I'm good with that. So I'm gonna run through them again. That's the 11 we got.
Yes,
so we can look at that.
Hakimi, Upamecano, Van Dijk, Cucurella, Vitinha, Declan Rice, Ulisse, Messi, Haaland, Mbappe.
Yeah.
Pretty solid.
Yeah.
It's pretty solid. I think it was one of the other coaches that's watching on YouTube that was commenting.
Oh, yeah.
He said, first understood everything very good, shout out. And then somebody just said, Tiger Land? I don't know if that's a song.
Oh yeah, he's playing with us. And he was on loan last year, and he will come back on loan for us, and now he's playing for PSV.
Gotcha. All right, which World Cup team, or excuse me, which nation is the biggest sleeper in this tournament?
Japan.
The sleeper?
And like dark horse.
Yeah, like an underdog that does well.
But here's what I'll say about Japan. I mean, and even the Netherlands, like I don't think they have an easy round of 32. Like if you told the Netherlands they were playing Bosnia, they would be happy about that. But they're gonna have to play Morocco. I think Japan has to play with Brazil or something like that.
Yeah.
So, but Japan to me is something nobody's talking about out of the top teams, and they're a team that could beat Brazil. In fact, before the World Cup, they did beat Brazil. They were down 1-0 and came back and won 2-1. So I also think Portugal, even though they didn't have a good start, I think if they're playing at a high level, I know the last game was good.
Yeah, but they've got like really good players. So
yeah,
I would say Morocco is one of them. Like they could be. We were even questioning if we would be happy with Brazil or Morocco to play in this tournament. And I think Norway is also a really good team.
Yeah, but I think when you look at Brazil and Morocco, like what are their strengths and what are your weaknesses, and you say defending is a strength for you guys, and if so, then yeah, maybe you want to play Brazil because defending is not a strength for Brazil right now.
Yeah, that's true.
Which World Cup team would be the toughest to coach against?
France. Or Spain, because they've played in that system so long together. They know it like the back of their hand. But to me, France is very talented across the board, and I think they have that combination of soccer IQ and a good coach and the athletic skills and ability they have to speed strength. But Spain is based on tactics and how they play the game.
Yeah, and they can adapt. So I think Spain is hardest to change your tactics on. But I feel like France is like the hardest because what are you going to say to your left back if he meets like Dembele or Doué or Bacola or Mbappe or Cheki or Olise?
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah, good luck to him.
So what are you going to tell them when Mbappe runs past them?
Yeah.
It'd be faster.
Find a way to run faster, even though that's not really possible.
Right.
Is soccer becoming too analytical?
Yes.
Yeah, I would agree with that. You don't. I miss seeing like the Brazil of old, where they play with passion. You see the tricks and flicks and just.
Why do you think that's changed?
Because I think across the board, the whole Billy Bean started it, but. You've seen that monkey ball and how the Oakland A's, and I know Billy Bean is actually working with the club over in the Netherlands right now.
Gotcha.
As at Alkmaar, and I just think people are trying to find ways to bring analytics into it to find the cheapest players who give them the most. And I don't know if you have a different opinion, but
well, I think maybe I misunderstood, but like the analytical part of the game, like in strategy, I think it's yes, but like there are like some clubs in Europe, like in Switzerland, in Scotland, it was like Melatonin of Hearts. There's a club in Sweden, it was like they use data to recruit players, and it is really, really good. So that analytical part I like. What I don't like is like over-analyze games, because sometimes it's just, as I mentioned, with players like France, they're just better. You can over-analyze how they play or what structure or whatever.
There's only so much you can look at.
Yeah, I think there has to be, you could look at the analytics, but you also need to look at the other aspects of the game, the teams you're playing, and, for a team that maybe possesses against one opponent and then sits in a block against others, like some of those the possession numbers that you get are maybe not higher, and we've seen teams that possess 70-80% of the game and still lose. And so, but I think to answer that question is, you see the weaker teams using analytics to give them a better chance of beating a team like France. And so, if one team's going to use that, I think all teams use it in some shape or fashion. So
And kind of like you just said, I almost feel like it's like they think it's a benefit when they're playing more challenging teams. Where is it really a benefit to study how this one team plays with all these analytics? I think in all sports it's gotten too analytical, and I think there's too much information that we're taking, especially in American football. You're seeing coaches make decisions based on analytics versus making decisions how the game has always been played on how you feel and how that particular moment is.
And also it's because they need so much information. You can like get footage of your next opponent, even on like amateur level now. You get all the data with like a vest on. You also, if it says a player start, you can also look at the player if he started or not. And also, a coach is not only like responsible for like prepare like based on tactics how they should perform in the next game. They also have to work on their own performance, on the chemistry in the team, and how a player's feeling. So I think
there's a lot of things that are not analytically driven that are important for you to be able to do.
Yeah, I think the eye test still wins out over everything and knowing your players, and so that's funny you say other sports because you hear American football like it's third down, or fourth down,
there's
and 1 yard to go.
Chance that if you go for it,
exactly. And so,
but what about that 28% when you don't get it?
And so, it's a little too much. I think it's good to have, but don't base your whole game around it.
We got a question from one of our viewers. I think we can figure out who it is. Who's the best person who lives? This is for you. The best person who lives in Groningen.
Who's the best person who lives in Groningen? All right, we see who it came from. Question for Coach. Who's the best person who lives in Groningen? Man, I'll have to say, despite not the answer they want to hear, I would say I could go with Sam, Jordy, or Joey, but with my friendship and relationship over the years with Floris, he would be one of my favorite. So, but love those guys also, so shout out to those three.
Yeah, the handball I believe says it's either Gerwin or Gerwin.
Oh, Gerwin. Oh, man. Gerwin is the best. Take it back.
I feel like that was the first question you were supposed to say.
Oh, my bad. I didn't know it was Gerwin, I guess. Yeah. So, okay, so can I give you a read my answer? Okay. So, number one is Gerwin's sister, and then number two is Gerwin.
There you go. Here's the answer we were all looking for. All right, one more question before we do some rapid fire. What is one rule change you would make to improve the sport?
Well, for me, it's like the handball discussion. I feel like there should be, or be a lesser thing than a penalty. Like a PK is sometimes too hard to give for a certain handball, and if you went to the Uruguay when Suarez went smashing it out of the goal, that should be a PK. There should be something in between. So when
it's such a brutal penalty.
So it's close to your body and it touches your hand, and it's directly a PK. When maybe sometimes the ball wasn't even going towards the goal, whatever, then I feel like that's the biggest part.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Where I think it's the intention, right? If you made yourself bigger on purpose to stop a shot, then yes, it's a PK. But if it indirectly hits your hand, then maybe it should be an indirect kick inside the box instead of a PK.
Yeah, we played this game in the Netherlands at the local club where I'm coaching a few years ago, where they tried all kinds of new rules, like kicking and also with substitutions. I think it's really interesting to see if you can just swap back players and see how the game changes. So now it's like really strict. I know it's easier than before where you only had 3 subs, but it's 5 subs per right. Don't you bring back on a player if he might influence the end of the game, right?
Yeah.
That'll be interesting as well.
Once they come off, they can't go back on.
No.
You only get 5 subs.
Yeah.
So for me, you bring in VAR, and if you're going to use it for everything.
Yep.
Like, don't just, like the goal that Germany scored the other day was a high kick. It shouldn't have been allowed. There's just so much. You wonder if there's an influence based on the team that's playing. I love Messi. People talk about his first goal or the foul that he committed. I don't think they're following the same standard across the board for everyone. So I'd like to see if VAR, like they have a rule where if it's the ref awards a goal kick, but it's or if the ref awards a corner, but it's a goal kick.
But it's not like.
But it's not switched the other way. So
I think that just made no sense. I think you switch one, but not the other.
That's true. But on the other hand, it's also then it would like stop the game and like the total playing time. That will be less. You can also say like give teams like 3 calls to make.
Yeah, like challenge.
The
water breaks have become. It was funny. We watched the U.S. game last night, and the second water break came in. So the American Outlaws here in Panama City are always at Before Brady's in Lynn Haven, and they did something really funny after the second water break. They all held up force like American football when it was in the fourth quarter. And so I thought it was funny, but somebody made a good point. It's like, why are you doing water breaks when you're playing inside the Mercedes-Benz and there's AC? So it's kind of taken away. Yeah, Europeans take commercials, but
Is it true that goals are up because of the water breaks? Like the overall scoring of the World Cup is higher because you're getting that extra couple breaks?
I feel like the biggest difference is that the smaller countries won't be happy when I say this. So there are countries taking part who didn't take part in the older system because there are more countries playing. So it's nice that there are 48 countries, but only was 32. So there are 16 more. So the level between the countries is also bigger. And that's why I think the main reason for the score.
Gotcha. There's just more variance between the teams and the not so good.
So Germany won 7-1 against Curacao. I cannot remember it was 7-1 at World Cup before.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. You just have a bigger talent gap between some of these countries and other countries for sure. All right, so rapid fire questions. I'm going to add a name to this one. Messi, Ronaldo, or Mbappe?
Messi.
Ronaldo.
My son would be happy. He's all in on Ronaldo.
I know this is rapid fire.
Why.
Rapid fire, but why Ronaldo? We'll have this offset.
Okay. So Ronaldo for me is like the example of maybe not always have like the functionality. Obviously he has it, otherwise he wouldn't have made it this far. But like if you put in so much effort and then get so much out of it, that's what I like about him. And he sometimes said it's like a wrong example, but I don't feel like he is. I feel like he's a very good example for kids and also next generation on certain topics. So I like him more than the player, but also as the person.
Do you think, not judging, but looking at both of them as a person, who do you think is a better example, Messi or Ronaldo?
Ronaldo.
You still think Ronaldo is a better example than Messi?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I think Messi is, I think it's, somebody said that the game of soccer with
and Skin Wellness Clinic in Panama City Beach. From skin cancer screenings to cosmetic treatments, their expert team is dedicated to helping you look and feel your best. Schedule your appointment today and experience personalized skincare that you can trust. Floris, of course, appreciate you coming on. It was very nice to meet you.
That's another episode of the Inside Drive podcast, powered by our amazing sponsors and driven by this community. Follow and subscribe on YouTube, Facebook, and all the major podcast platforms. And please leave a review. Remember, talent gets you noticed, but hard work gets you remembered. We'll see you next time on the Inside